Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am thrilled to have you join us today for this special session focused on helping surgical candidates position themselves for success. Whether you're early in your career or exploring new opportunities, today's insights will help you stand out in a competitive market. My name's Haley Lance. I'm a senior physician liaison with AMN Healthcare, and joining me today are our guests, Emily Yofi and Joe Hall.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Yofi. I've been with AMN Healthcare for over 10 years, and I am a recruiter on our locum tenens division, handling all surgery and OBGYN.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Joe Hall. I have been with AMN Healthcare now for 8 years, and I work on our permanent placement division, focusing primarily on surgical recruitment.
Today, we'll be diving into resume tips, interview strategies, what healthcare organizations are really looking for in surgical candidates, and sharing real-world advice from our search experts. Your future in surgery starts with the right opportunity, and at AMN Healthcare, we're here to help you find the role that truly fits your goals. And we know you've got questions, so let's jump into our FAQs and get you the answers you need. What does your team look for in surgery candidates? Joe?
Yeah, thanks, Haley. So it really depends on the client and the circumstances that they're in. But one of the first things that our clients will look at is to determine if a candidate is either board eligible or board certified. Next, they'll look at soft skills such as communication skills, bedside manner, and things along those lines. They just want to ensure that they're going to be a great team fit. Taking it a step forward, one thing that our clients are also looking for is to ensure that our candidates are going to be a good cultural fit. Nobody's going into recruitment to, have a temporary or quote unquote band-aid fix. They're looking for a long-term solution. So making sure that a candidate's a good cultural fit with the group is of the utmost importance. And lastly, I think just to piggyback off my previous statement, they are looking for somebody that's looking to commit for the long term to provide the group some stability as well.
Excellent. And Emily, for locum tenens?
Yeah, so on locum tenens, exactly what Joe mentioned, we look for the same things just to make sure that you have been practicing in that specialty. We also look and will consider board eligible or board certified as long as you have completed your residency. We can help with licensing as well as IMLC. And then we also look to make sure most of our locum opportunities are all flexible so you can be able to coordinate your schedule just depending on what you are looking for and what availability you might have.
Perfect. And I am going to give us some insight on what an ideal resume or CV will look like. We're going to need the CV in chronological format, month and year. You're going to need your NPI number and DEA number, your board status, either as board eligible or board certified, any licensure and certifications, both active and inactive, your education history, your work history, any employment gaps. If you have any gaps, just make sure you put the explanation, your residency hospitals. If you've done locums before, make sure you have your locums agency listed, any research and presentations as well as hobbies. And now to the right, we have an example. Feel free to scan that QR code to look over this example CV. And some common resume red flags, any unexplained employment gaps, incomplete or expired license or MPI details, any typos or unprofessional or inconsistent formatting. So just make sure you always keep your CV up to date, add any additional information about a job or any new licenses, or if a license becomes inactive, make sure you just keep that updated and have someone look over your CV to look for any typos or formatting issues. And Joe, what are some good interview strategies?
Well, when we're talking about surgical candidates, I think one of the most important things is for an incoming candidate to talk about their surgical value. For example, any specific surgical cases that they perform, any special training that they've received, et cetera, et cetera. Another thing that's really of the utmost importance is to ask insightful questions. Come prepared to ask many questions, not only about the job responsibilities, but also the culture of the practice. On that note, it's really important for you to conduct your research as well. Look into the other physicians that you're going to be joining with. See if you can find any common ground, such as, did they attend the same medical school or residency training program? And see if you could just find any similarities between you and the physicians currently in the practice. Lastly, I encourage any physician to be credentialed ready. And what I mean by that is to have all your necessary paperwork in hand, but also be ready to prepare, to send over 3 to 5 references. Most of our clients will request references with individuals that you've worked with in the last 12 to 24 months. So a great example to use is a program director, a supervisor, peers, et cetera, et cetera.
Excellent. And our next question is, can providers get a job right out of residency?
Yes, yes. Long answer short is yes. But it really depends on the client. Some clients may request for a candidate to come in with experience, but more oftentimes than not, yes, you can get a job right out of residency.
Perfect. And Emily, can new grads work locums?
Yes, absolutely. As long as you have completed your residency, you are good to work as a locums provider. Again, like Joe mentioned, it does depend on the client if board certification is required, but typically they will accept truly board eligible, and most of the hospitals try and look at board eligible within the first 5 years out of residency.
Great. And do providers need to be board certified before applying?
I think it kind of goes back to what we were discussing before. It really all depends. I know that most residents and fellows coming out of training will not be board certified. Therefore, as long as you are board eligible, you will qualify for most positions. But I believe Emily just hit on it before. There is a grace period between residency and or fellowship training where one's going to achieve board certification. So just be mindful of hospital bylaws as well as any agreement that you review, because that will usually detail that timeline that they will require you to receive that board certification.
And what type of mentorship is typical?
It really all depends. Typically when residents are interviewing for new practice opportunities, one of the important things that they evaluate is joining a group with senior physicians that are available for mentorship. So I would encourage all residents or fellows as they're evaluating opportunities to ask what type of mentorship is available, just to ensure that they have a level of comfort joining a group and or hospital.
Absolutely. And will providers have a say in scheduling or case types?
Again, this really all depends. It's it really just depends on the client and what the client's expectations are for an incoming surgeon. So it's really difficult to say. But again, this is all going to be a part of the evaluation process.
And for locums, yes, you will definitely have a say in the scheduling. Unless the client is requesting a certain specific dates for vacation coverage or maternity leave. But typically, a lot of our opportunities, you can pick and choose if you how long the assignment or what schedule that you prefer. And then the cases, it ultimately just depends on what the client is looking for. They sometimes do call it out if there are certain cases, but ultimately they just look for bread and butter cases that you are typically doing.
Great. And what types of benefits are usually included?
Typically in terms of permanent opportunities, there is some form of a salary guarantee that's included. I will also note that last year, approximately 70% of our clients offered some form of sign-on bonus and relocation. In addition to that, it's common to find clients offering comprehensive benefits such as health, dental, short-term and long-term disability, and some form of retirement plan. Some added benefits as well are CME. We see a lot of our clients offering some form of CME allowance. In addition to that, we do oftentimes see clients also provide student loan repayment options and a few other superlatives as well.
And for locums, we cover your malpractice. So that's claims made with tail coverage while on assignment. We can help with licensing and just depending on where the opportunities are. We also offer a $5,000 referral bonus for anyone that you refer that we place and just have a full credentialing team that can help make the process go smooth and be able to be the go-between between you and the hospital.
That sounds amazing. Our next question is, are travel and housing covered?
Yes, so for locums, we cover flights, hotel, and rental car, or if you prefer to drive, we also reimburse for mileage. And, ultimately it does depend on the client if they are looking for a local provider or if they will consider physicians that do need travel, full travel.
Excellent. And how long is a typical contract?
From a permanent perspective, it really depends. Generally, we're seeing initial contracts last from anywhere from 2 to 3 years, but it's also client dependent. So I've seen contracts as short as 1 year to as long as 5 years. So 2 to 3 is generally what we see, but it does vary from client to client.
And about how long are typical locums assignments?
Yes, it definitely depends on the clients, but I would say typically between a week to ongoing, just depending on if the clients are needing vacation coverage, maternity leave, or just trying to recruit for a new permanent opportunity, permanent physician that could be able to come in. But I have had physicians that have worked with me for over 3 years just doing locums, just depending on what their schedules are interested in.
Wow, that's great to know. Do providers need a fellowship training to qualify?
Yes, so that definitely depends. If typically our clients will call it out if there is a fellowship, but otherwise you would just need to complete your residency. But if you do have certain fellowships, just make sure that you call it out to us so that we can be able to relay that to the clients and better sell you.
Perfect. And Joe, what type of technological advancements are in the operating room?
So an important thing for surgeons to do while they're evaluating opportunities is to take note of the technological advancements in the OR. As many of you have seen during training, have been a number of advancements over the last decade or so. For example, minimally invasive surgery, robotic assisted systems, as well as AI. So as you're evaluating opportunities, ask your prospective employers about these options and if there's any plans to implement these systems in the near future.
Perfect. And feel free to scan the QR code below to get your copy of our Residence Rising ebook. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining our webinar today. Thank you so much for our amazing guests, Emily and Joe. Below, you can see our contact information, our phone numbers, emails, and our links to our calendars. Feel free to reach out. Like we said, Emily's our locums expert. Joe is our permanent placement expert. I work with both locums and permanent, so always feel free to connect with us. Thank you so much for joining.